So let's start. Number 10, exploding head syndrome. The name alone is terrifying, but don't worry, your head won't actually explode. Still, exploding head syndrome is one of the most horrifying sleep disorders out there. As people drift off to sleep, they suddenly hear a massive explosion inside their skull. It sounds like gunshots, fireworks, or a bomb going off in the room, except none of it is real. Sufferers wake up in terror, convinced something catastrophic just happened. Some hear loud crashes, screams, or even static blasts like a blown speaker. Others see flashes of light with the sound, and because it usually happens right as you're about to fall asleep, it turns bedtime into a horror ritual of waiting for the next imaginary detonation. Doctors think it's caused by a misfire in the brain as it shuts down for sleep, like your neurons glitching and firing all at once. The good news, it's not physically harmful. The bad news, it can ruin your life. People develop insomnia, panic attacks, and paranoia, terrified of sleeping because their brain keeps staging fake Michael Bay action scenes. It's rare, but for those unlucky enough to experience it, exploding head syndrome feels like living in a haunted house where the ghosts are inside your skull. Number 9, tree man syndrome. If stone man syndrome wasn't enough, here's another one that sounds like a bad fairy tale: tree man syndrome. Officially called Epidermodysplasia Verruciformis, this condition turns the skin into a breeding ground for bark-like growths. Caused by a mutation in how the body handles HPV, the same virus behind warts, it results in massive, uncontrollable lesions that look exactly like roots and branches sprouting from the skin. The most famous case is Abul Bajandar, a Bangladeshi man whose hands and feet were so covered in growths they looked like tree stumps. Doctors removed over 11 pounds of warts in multiple surgeries, but they kept coming back. He literally couldn't feed himself, dress, or hold objects because his hands were swallowed by these woody masses. The condition is so visually shocking that patients often end up in medical journals, news headlines, or unfortunately traveling freak shows in the past. But the reality is brutal pain, infections, and complete loss of independence. Imagine trying to scratch your nose when your hand is more oak branch than flesh. Scientists have found it's caused by a rare genetic defect that makes the immune system unable to fight HPV, so the virus runs wild. Treatments exist, but they're temporary. The warts always regrow, sometimes even worse. It's one of those conditions that looks so surreal you'd think Hollywood makeup artists invented it. But no, sometimes nature writes the scariest scripts of all.
Number 8.
Stone man syndrome. Imagine waking up one day and finding out your body has decided bones are the hot new fashion trend and it's going all in. That's the nightmare of stone man syndrome, officially called Fibrodysplasia Ossificans Progressiva. It's one of the rarest conditions on Earth, and it basically turns soft tissue into bone. Muscles, tendons, and ligaments all slowly ossify until the body becomes a living statue. The process usually starts in childhood with what looks like simple bumps or lumps under the skin, but over time, those lumps harden into actual bone. Joints lock, movement becomes impossible, and the skeleton essentially grows a second skeleton on top of itself. Patients eventually lose the ability to walk, lift their arms, or even open their jaws. It's as if the body is saying, why stop at one skeleton when you can have two? There's no cure, and surgery makes it worse. Cutting into the tissue just triggers even more bone growth. By adulthood, many people are frozen into immobility, trapped in their own bodies. It's terrifying because it's not fast like some sudden disease. It's slow, creeping, and unavoidable. You're alive, aware, but slowly calcifying like a fossil in real time. Only a few hundred cases exist worldwide, which means most doctors never see it. But for those unlucky few, it's a lifelong horror story of slowly turning into a statue. Ancient myths about people turning to stone like Medusa's victims don't sound so mythical anymore.
Number 7.
Alien hand syndrome. You know those moments when your hand does something stupid, like dropping your phone on your face while scrolling in bed? Now, imagine your hand not only acts without your control, but it feels like it belongs to someone else. That's alien hand syndrome. Caused by brain damage, often after stroke, surgery, or trauma, this condition disconnects the part of the brain that controls voluntary movement. The result? one of your hands becomes independent. Patients report their rogue hand-grabbing objects, unbuttoning shirts they just buttoned, or even slapping themselves in the face. Some describe it as having a mind of its own, and disturbingly, it really feels that way. One woman with alien hand syndrome said she had to physically sit on her left arm to stop it from choking her in the middle of the night. Another kept finding her alien hand undoing work her normal hand had just done, like opening drawers she had just closed. Imagine living with a prankster roommate who happens to be attached to your body. The condition inspired horror movies, comedies, and even the phrase Dr. Strangelove syndrome after the film character whose gloved hand kept saluting uncontrollably. There's no cure, and therapy focuses on retraining the brain, but many people spend years fighting against their own rogue limb. Possession stories might not be demons after all. Maybe it's just your nervous system glitching out and turning your left hand into a mischievous little goblin.